Okay. So if you have a wall, it's always nice to do the roll down there, and if you don't, that's also cool. So, nice stance. Don't worry too much about being in the frame.
Cool.
Nice steady stance. You can close your eyes. If you're at the wall, it's really good to do the chin tucked to lengthen the back of your neck, and then roll on down. Just taking the first one as a moment to feel how your body's feeling. Hang out at the bottom, give yourself a little swing and shake, and then roll back up. So bending your knees, tucking your tail, and stacking vertebrae one on top of each other. Also, I might use this one today as okay, children, do you know what I mean by tucking your tail? And they're like, yeah, put your bum in your pocket. It's like, what? How does that? Sure. So that's what I had to say all day. So for the next one, standing nice and strong, making sure to press into the inside edges of your feet, put your bum in your pocket, and roll down, using a little bit more core engagement so it's active. Give yourself a little swing. You can grab onto your elbows, swing side to side, in parallel, and then making figure eights. Pausing at the bottom, shake out your head, put your bum in your pocket, and stack it back up. Excellent. Let's come down to sit. When you're ready. You can sit however you're comfortable, cross legs. Sitting up nice and tall, we'll stretch your both arms up, root down through your sit bone, reach up through your arms. Trying to feel that slight low core engagement starting right from the get-go. And then crunching over the side. So trying not to lean over too much. You're anchoring down through your sit bone, crunching through your side to stretch long through that upper side. And we're going to do the little flow from here. So top arm, you come up and over to twist. The top arm comes to the back. Rooting down through your sit bones up to the top of your head. And then your front arm comes around to place behind you, push into your knees, and stretch up. So it goes side, twist, arch, and then sitting down. Other side, stretching up, using your obliques to crunch over, root through your sit bones. That top arm comes up and twist behind you. And unwind, push onto your knees, arch up. So now you have the feel of it. Stretching up. See if you can translate arm, shoulder down to hip. And then really root through the sit bone and stretch through the fingers of the same side. So you get nice length in your side. Use your core to pull yourself back up. Stretch up tall to the top of your head and twist. And unwind, hand behind you, press up. Stretching up. That slight translation, so translate your ribs away from the side you're leaning towards, and then drop that shoulder towards your hip. Root heavy through that sit bone, reach through your fingers. Stretching up tall, use your core to unwind, twist. And unwind and arch. So we'll do the whole flow one more time. And this time really start to feel what your shoulders are doing. So reaching long. Maybe that means you pull that bottom shoulder back as you twist open. Top arm comes up and over to twist. Try to use your core as much as you can. Unwind it. And spiral your elbow crease out to get a little bit more arch and openness. And last time, switching up and over. Again, really rooting through that sit bone, pulling that shoulder, that low shoulder down and back, reaching long. Twist. Looks better if you don't think too much about it. Unwind. And spiraling your elbow crease out just like handstand to get some openness in your shoulder. Awesome. Alright, we'll come on over to your hands and knees. And let's do 5 rounds of cat-cow to get moving in that dimension. So pushing down into your hands, spiraling your elbow creases forward. Pull your ribs in, push up. And keeping the push, arching your back, pressing your chest forward through your arms. Curling your tail under, putting your butt in its pocket. So you're starting from your pelvis each time and keeping the push. Your tail, pulling your ribs in. And keep the push to get out. When you're done 5, pausing in neutral, making sure that one elbow is really spiraled forward, lots of push. Twist up. And you're going to keep that push, keep that spiral as you pull your ribs in, reach your arm through. So you're not putting it down, you're just reaching as far as you can. And up. So again, we're going to do 5 of these. Really pulling your ribs in so you're nice and strong, reaching through. And trying to notice the moment where your elbow wants to unspiral. Just so you start to have some awareness of your edges of rotation. And on this last one, reaching through, hovering for a moment, and then laying your shoulder and temple down on your really smelly mat. Pull your shoulders away from your ears so you have lots of length in your neck, and then use that hand on the ground to twist. Unwind. And we'll do the other side. So again, before you start, really spiraling your elbow crease forward, getting that push, twist up, and then keeping that push even as you reach through, trying to feel that edge when your arm starts to naturally rotate. The 5th one, reaching through, hovering for a moment, and then placing your shoulder and temple on the ground to use your other hand to help twist you open. Pulling your shoulders away from your ears, reaching back through your sit bones so you're really twisting through your upper back. Yep. So we're going to start with some inchworms. So just step into your plank. So this is going to be your starting position instead of pike for once. I'm just going to shimmy myself back. So you're walking forward as far as you possibly can into that inchworm shape. So push the ground away, pull your ribs in, and then walk your toes in towards your hands. Keeping that push. So you're trying to arrive at a place that you're pushing the ground away, standing up on your tiptoes, which of course will depend on your proportions. And then we'll walk back. So push the ground away right away. So you're starting to warm up that handstand push and tiptoe your toes back into the inchworm. When you arrive, tuck your tail, pull your ribs in, and push the ground away. Holding for a moment, and then walking your hands back to meet your feet. Same thing, trying to keep that push the whole time to arrive at tippy toes. And then we'll do that whole thing one more time. So walking forward, really pushing through your fingers. Forward into that inchworm, pulling your ribs in, tucking your tail, and push the ground away. Tiptoe in. Pause at the top for a moment. And then push and walk on back. So you're trying to feel that shoulders to your ears like handstand through the whole thing. Ribs in, push the ground away, and then walk on back to your toes. And give yourself a moment, grab onto your elbows and hang out. Give it a little swing. Okay, before we do too much plank stuff, we'll just do a really quick forearm warm up that I forgot to do before that one. Oopsies. So just slow circles with your wrists, trying to pull your fingers down and around so you're getting a nice stretch in the backs of your forearms. And switch direction. Awesome. Excuse me. Hands up. We're going to do slopers. So keeping your fingers straight. Bend at that major, bend at the major knuckle as far as you can. And then when you can't anymore, tuck your fingers in or roll them down. And up. So it's sloper, like you're climbing on a slopey thing, not anything you can really grip on. Pushing your fingers in, tuck it in, and down. And up. We're going to do 5. Trying to exaggerate the straight fingers. Down. Excellent. Hands out to the side, palms away, fingers up and wiggle. And down. And palms in, fingers up, wiggle. And down. Awesome. Now you can give them a little shake. Sweet. Okay, now we can continue. So let's start in, we'll just do our whole little plank flow. So setting your position right from the get-go, wrists under your shoulders, push the ground away, spiral your elbow creases forward, and then step back into your plank. You can spread your feet a little bit wider than normal, so they're kind of hip or shoulder width apart. So we're going to do elbow taps. So pushing the ground away, tapping your elbow or your shoulder, and your goal, we're going to do 10 to each side. Your goal is to minimize the side-to-side movement, so you really find that diagonal tension between the two limbs that are really weighted and on the ground. So if you're looking at me from the front, it should look like I'm just lifting my arm, nothing else is moving. If you've started to lose it, push the ground away, and spiral your elbow crease out. As soon as you place it, start spiraling. Tuck your tail if that's starting to wiggle. And after 10, shift your hips up and back down dog to give your core a little break. Alright, so this time with your feet together, push the ground away, spiral your elbow creases forward, lift one leg up, bend your knee, and big circles with your knee. Again, your goal is that nothing is moving except for that limb, so really push the ground away, spiral your elbow creases forward, so that your upper body is super solid. I'll do 5 in one direction, and then switch. After 5, step it down, pedal out your feet. We'll shift forward to plank. Elbow creases forward, lower to chaturanga. Hands nice and wide. Squeeze your shoulders away from your ears, roll up cobra. And then the leg that you just circled, we're going to do 5, letting your chest down, lifting up your leg. So it's a little wave. Chest down, heel up. You're going to pull your shoulders away from your ears. And squeeze your shoulder blades together to really lift your chest. And then after 5, just sit back on your heels for a moment to round out your low back. You can give yourself a little slide side to side. And then we'll come up, replace your hands to do everything on the other side. So stepping your feet back into plank, tuck your hips under back, push the ground away, spiral your elbow creases forward, feet together, and then other leg. Lift it up, bend, and circle. So really try to notice the moment that you have to push extra to make sure that you're stable so that you can anticipate it instead of reacting. And after 5, switch direction. Then pause after your 5th one, step it down, wave forward plank, spiral those elbow creases forward to lower down chaturanga, shift forward, hands wide again. Really trying to pull your shoulders down and away from your ears, so that's helping you lift, and then lowering down, lifting that leg that you just circled. Each one, trying to exaggerate even a little bit more, squeezing your shoulder blades together to lay your stomach down. And after 5, shift back, sit on your heels to round out your back. Okay, last one in our plank, we're going to do some side planking. So if your wrists are getting sad, you can always do it on your elbow. But if you can, do it up on your hands. So we're going to step back into our plank. Shift over onto one arm to twist and lift up. And just take a moment here, experimenting with your arm. So turning it like elbow crease forward and back. And you'll feel that as soon as you get your elbow crease spiraled forward, everything is much more stable in your shoulder. So really spiral it out, push the ground away, maybe stretch up with your other arm. Take some breaths. If you want even more of a challenge, you can always try to lift your foot so that you have a nice parallel line. But keep pushing the ground away, spiraling your elbow crease forward. Hold it for 3, 2, 1. With control, step your foot down, come back to your plank, and shift your hips up and back, down dog. For a little break. Pedal out your feet. And then we'll do the other side. So curling forward to that plank, shift over onto one side, and just take the first couple moments to rotate your arm in place. Sometimes it feels like that spiral forward is harder than it's worth, but when it's spiraled back, you can really feel that all those stabilizers, they're not locked in, so they can't work very well. So spiral that elbow crease forward, push the ground away, maybe stretch your other arm up. And then if you want that little extra core challenge, you can lift your leg so you have that parallel line to the ground. But keep spiraling your elbow, push the ground away, reach high. 3, 2, One, step it down, lots of control, back to your plank, lower down, chaturanga, little lift, stretch it out, and then sit back on your heels. I totally lied. We're gonna do one more thing before we do our mobilizing. Sorry. We're gonna do the shrugs. Again, you can do these on your hands or you can do them on your elbows. It's just gonna save your wrist. And just like forearm stand, it's not necessarily that much easier on your elbows. It's just a bit different. So if you've never done them on your elbows, give it a whirl. And we're gonna do 10 shrugs. So keeping your ribs pulled in, your tail tucked, shrugging down and up. Push the ground away, and you'll feel way more stable in the top part than the bottom. It should be reminiscent of our elbow stand breakthroughs last week. The pushing away actually helps. 2 more. And then you can step your knees in and stretch your arms forward to give them a little break. Sweet. So got some pushing in different directions going, so they should be a wee bit tired. But for anyone that did aerial today, it's the opposite. So you're feeling really good. Like, no. Okay. Shoulder mob time. So if you have any bands, maybe bring them near, because we will use them. Sweet. So we're gonna do just a little kind of swingy mobilization. So I'm gonna tip you down a bit because I'm gonna lie on the ground and I want you to see. Great. So you're just gonna lie on your back, your arms out to the side, let your knees drop over, and your arm's just gonna sweep along the ground to come meet the other one, and back. So your arm's along for the ride. So what's initiating it is your core dropping over to one side, and then your arm is following forward and back. So we're gonna do 8 to each side. So just letting your knees drop, your core is engaged, so everything else follows, and your hands just sliding along the ground. Which is very similar to the leg warm-up that I used to do like many moons ago. That some of you may remember. This is the top part of it that always feels more confusing than it should be. So you're just getting it moving. And then when you're done 8, you can switch to the other side. So again, just slight tail tuck, ribs pulled in, because then as soon as your legs move, everything's going to follow. So your legs just drop over, circles around. Yeah, so it should be nice and passive and tells you as much about your core connection and how your shoulders follow as anything else. So your arms are just like passively moving around, kind of stretching them out. Nice rolling on the ground. Rest tired, folks. Okay, a little bit more activity into it. We're going to do the upper body twists. So your arm is going to be anchored, so it's just touching your legs, just so it has something to push against. Other hand, you're going to have your thumb on your shoulder and the pinky on the back of your head so that you can spread your head apart from your shoulder. And that's going to tell you if you're just moving your head or if you're truly moving your whole upper back. So the two-step motion, you're pushing into your elbow to stack your shoulder, again like elbow stand, and then twisting, and then everything relaxes. Stack and twist and down. So try to really feel that push. So you feel the kind of your stabilizers in your low arm engaging, and then keeping your head spread apart from your shoulder. Squeeze your shoulder blades together to twist and down. Stack and push. You can think about reaching back through your tailbone. That'll also kind of help straighten out your whole spine, so you're getting a nice twist. And we're going to do 8 on each side, so you're probably almost done if you've lost count. Do 1 or 2 more, reaching back through your tailbone, pushing down into your elbow, and down. Definitely made my tricep a little more tired than it always sometimes does. You can give yourself a little shake, and then we'll do the other side. So since you've all done it so many times, adding that extra little intention of like stretching out back through your tailbone, reaching through the top of your head, you get that nice long line, and then you can twist more easily. Whereas if you don't think of that and you're kind of crunchy, you're kind of blocking your own twist. So just finding a little bit more length and freedom in it. So stack, push down, and twist. Trying to keep your head nice and neutral so you're not tricking yourself into thinking you're going farther than you are. Reach back through your tailbone, squeeze between your shoulder blades. Again, we're doing 8, so if you weren't counting, you probably have about 2 left. Okay, so we haven't done these ones in a little while, so I want you to notice how they feel from when we did them a million years ago. So the classic, reaching your hands forward. You can have your forehead on the ground if you want to, but that might put a bit of strain on your neck, so just a neutral neck. You're lifting, holding, flipping your palm, reaching it around to scratch your shoulder blade. Keeping your shoulder and elbow stable, pressing the palm towards the ceiling or the sky, flipping it, bringing it around, holding it for a moment, and down. So you're trying to pause for a moment at both the front end, keeping your arm really straight, reaching forward and up, flip your palm, bring it around, and then also pausing in this position as well, trying not to make any adjustments. So everything should stay super stable except for the actual arm that's moving. And we're gonna, since I'm making you like pause at either end, we're just gonna do 4 on each side. Otherwise, we will be here all night. Yeah. Lifting. And really just, like, you've all done this kind of stuff before and have been doing lots of work on your shoulders. So try to notice what, like, compensations are happening. So really keeping your ribs pressed into your knees, reaching forward and up, pausing, flip and circle. Trying to keep your shoulder pulled away from your ear. And you can keep a little extra pressure into the hand that's on the ground. That'll help you kind of control your twisting if it's happening. And when you're done 4, just do your other side. If you've lost the push with the hand on the ground, bring back a little engagement to that side so everything's nice and active. And pulling your shoulder away from your ear as you reach your palm to the sky when it's bent. And I don't know if if you kind of noticed, but since we've been doing all this extra like serratus work, that is definitely one of the things that's involved in this action of pulling back. So if you felt this in your armpit and you haven't felt that before, it's probably because now you know kind of intrinsically how to activate it, so it's doing the work and you're starting to feel it working. So that's going to strengthen that range. For all of you reverse meat hookers or fake reverse meat hookers, that's going to be really important to be safe in this like behind the back arm position that I think is really cool. Sarah, it looks like you have a question. Or are you just looking in close? Great. Meat hookers. I mean, what else is a hooker if not a meat suit hooker? We're gonna be YouTube famous, everybody. Okay, so moving on to the bands. Oh god, it's not getting better. So to continue with that kind of rotational strength, we're gonna do our rotators. So a band, a nice long band. Dun-dun-dun. So you're not squeezing everything in. Everything is all now set, so your shoulders can be stable in this position without clenching. So you just start to activate it. We're going to do 10 external rotations to start. And really try to feel how much you can relax. So like not gripping your hands, not gripping your elbows, keeping your shoulders pulled away from your ears, and that allows you to use, kind of activate your rhomboids. So that's what's doing all the work. So you're trying to be as specific about what you're using as possible now that you kind of know what's going on, which all of you do, which is awesome. Okay, after 10, we're going to do the full rotations with one arm. So one arm stays totally still, other arm rotates out, punch forward. You're going to keep this. So shoulder away from your ear, arm is nice and straight. If that becomes too much, you can always drop it back down, but try to keep it there for 10 of these guys. So really keeping your shoulder away from your ear, so it's bicep to ear and you're framing your face, as opposed to this wonky frame. This isn't a fun house. I mean, it's super fun, but not a fun house. And if 10 feels outrageous at the resistance you've given yourself, reduce the resistance a little bit and try to finish your 10. So it's a little bit of endurance in the middle here. Yeah, making sure not to let your arms start to shade your face. Truly aim for that frame every time. Nice. Sarah, I'm so glad you decided to do a lazy class today. We'll do the other side. My feet are going to sleep, so I'm going to change position. So setting that first arm, rotate out, punch forward, and then you're keeping that one super still. Boom. And yeah, as you're pulling down, see if you can think, activating that serratus, so pulling it down slightly, so you get that feeling in your armpit. And again, if you need to reduce the resistance a bit partway through, that's cool. But try to keep everything nice and smooth and stable. Excellent. Cool. All right, so we're gonna do a couple more band ones. We're gonna do the McSammy Serratus because it's my favorite. So that's the one. It's from a hand balancer named McSammy. If you're curious. So the band is gonna go around your elbows. You're gonna come into this child's pose position, your elbows on the ground, palms towards you. The further out you reach your elbows, the harder it is. So you can kind of choose your own adventure. Pressure out into the band. We'll do one crisscross to kind of set it all. And then with one arm, it's going straight up and down. Up and down. Trying to push your elbow forward to really get into that serratus. So your elbow's pushing forward as your hand stays where it is. And we'll do between 5 and 8 depending on how hard of a band you chose or how much work you've been doing on this particular area. Resist the urge. I use too hard of a band, so I'm making really good teaching mistakes. Try not to let your wrists curl up to think that you're doing the work. You want to keep that pressure out into your hands so that your forearms stay parallel. And then you can take a little break. Pick the wrong
So the arm goes out in front of us, not up towards the ceiling.
Say that again?
The hand goes out to like in front of us, not up towards the ceiling?
It goes towards the ceiling, but you're thinking elbow is going forward. So yeah, you're not letting it drop down, like it is staying perpendicular to the ground, but the intention is elbow forward, so that you get that like elbow stand push.
Perfect, thank you.
Welcome. Circ Physio just posted a version of this kind of exercise in the past couple of days. It's like slightly different. And I haven't done it enough times to be like, oh, I know exactly what all the cues are and how it's different. But if you want to check out her post, I'm sure it's amazing. But yeah, it was a similar, she did something slightly different with the arm position. And yeah, so I haven't like explored it enough to know what the differences are, but at least then you can hear her talking in her language about what it's activating and where you should feel it. Yeah, she's done a bunch of, it seems like she's on a bit of a posting spree right now, which is cool. So she has a few new things up if you want to check them out on her Instagram, if you were like, because that's the kind of thing that you scroll past it and you're like, I would like to retain that, and I'm in scroll mode. So this is just a reminder to go back to it and check it out.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so the last one we're going to do is going to set it all back in. Oh, sorry, I was just talking. If you didn't do the other arm, do the other arm. I didn't do the other arm, so I should probably do some. Thanks, Sarah. And then you guys can think about it for a moment. Crisscross, elbow forward and up. Yeah, so the other, like another version of this that we've done is the one where you wrap it around your back and your elbows and you like push forward into it. So that intention of the push forward, shoulders away from your ears, is going to get it. And then that kind of thought in this version of it is, I found really helpful. Because I got, after doing it about 3 times, it's like, I'm really good at this. I just got good at being lazy. Okay, so the last one is going to be a meat hooker specific. So a nice heavy looped band, or if you don't have such a thing, like it's better to use a heavy band than a looped one, and you can just tie a little loop on it to put it on your foot. So this one is pretty subtle, so I were kind of doing it at the end while you're tired, but you can really feel everything. So you're going to hold it with your opposite hand, so it's on my right foot, left hand. I like to, with the looped ones especially, since mine are pretty small, kind of pre-stretch it onto my wrist, just so that I get the stretch where I want it. And then you're going to lie back, and you're going to feel that it's pulling you forwards. So this is what kind of a not great meat hook will feel and look like. So you're going to correct it by laying your head on the ground. I'm going to exaggerate it so you can really see, and pulling your shoulder down and back. Down and back with your head on the ground. So down and back to feel everything kind of tighten back there, so your shoulder blade's sucking onto your side, and then relax. So you're letting it out, down and back. And you'll feel that will make your arm rotate, which is great. So I'm rotating my thumb up towards the ceiling or the sky. So down and back, rotate your hand, and release. And we'll do 10. And if you're really keen, you can start to feel your chin tuck slightly so the back of your neck lengthens, and that kind of gets everything into good alignment, and then relax. Sweet. Yeah. And then to your other side. So if you've seen any of these like straps people doing this kind of drill, that they're hanging in one arm across their body, but instead of like dropping into the traditional meat hook, they're just hanging with their toes straight up on the straps. Sarah, I'm sure, remembers me struggle bugging through this with Mauricio. So this is the action that will allow you to just hang on one arm upside down, because you're setting it in position, but it is on a slight diagonal across your body. So, other side. So this is a good aerial warm-up, is really what I'm saying. So you can exaggerate it for the first couple to get the feeling, like lift your head and shoulders off the ground and then set them. And then see if you can find that movement without moving your head. So let it round forward. Thumb rotates up and out as you set your shoulder down your back. Your chin is tucking slightly to lengthen the back of your head. The back of your neck, sorry. So it's not a huge movement. It's pretty subtle, which is why I like to do it at the end of all of them, because you've like made all the major muscle groups turn on, and then you're just finding how they all kind of fit together in the position that you want to use them in. That is the rationale for that. Deadly. Okay, we'll do a quick kind of ass and abs express. Got that one from Emily, Sarah. Yeah, and we can do some, we'll kind of see what you want to work on using all of that. Okay, we're obviously starting with dead bugs. If you have something that you can like roll up and put under your sacrum, gives you some nice awareness. So even just like rolling up your yoga mat or your dog mat or your shirt, because it's going to make you, since you can't just like arrive at the floor and know it's a straight line, it's just going to make you be a bit more precise like in your head. So it's just going under your sacrum, so that's going to encourage the tail tuck, push your low back in, so you can really feel your low core working. And some of the variations we've been doing are fingers on the knees to push knees to hands, hands to knees, and then one leg at a time. And you can alternate back and forth, just because I'm bad at telling you when 30 seconds is up. Okay, so we'll do it for a minute, and we're going to start now. So we're really exaggerating that tail tuck, and remembering that if you start to shake, It's because all your core stabilizers are working because you've already been using them for a while. So it's not just that you're weak. It's something else. Trying to arrive at that straight line as opposed to straight leg and lower. Back in. Arrive at that straight line. Five more seconds. And done. Let's see. You can stretch out your stomach for a moment if you like. Next one, we're going to do Superman pullbacks. So lying on your stomach. This one's particularly good after doing all those band things. It's all warmed up and ready, and you get to apply it to your back bend. So lifting your head, long back of neck. Arms to your ears, and then drag your elbows back so that it makes a square, not a W. And that's going to let you lift your, chest. Squeezing everything out of my stomach, trying to talk and balance on it. Okay. Ready, set, go. Head, arms, drag it back, forward. With each drag back, trying to pull your chest a little higher. And you can take a moment between them. No need to rush. And you can start challenging yourself on the back end of it as well. So keeping your chest raised as high as you can, reaching all the way back, arms to ears, and then lower it all down. Squeezing your shoulder blades together to help lift you a little farther. And you're done. You can rock out your back a little bit. That guy. And then we're going to continue to stretch out your back with our upper back kind of mobilizing. So laying on your back, tucking your tail so you don't get to use swinging or momentum. Tucking your tail to reach back. And then really compress. So hips are heavy, feet are heavy. Keep that compression as you squish your one vertebrae at a time back into the ground. So this is a nice one because it stretches out your upper back as you work out your low core. Okay, and go. Exaggerate that compression. Almost done. And done. So, okay. Back to your backside. So this is the SI Buster, and we're gonna do holds. So you're just lying flat on your stomach with nice straight legs, trying to lift your whole leg from your hamstring and your glute. We're gonna hold it for 10 seconds, lower down. But what you're trying to do is keep your low back and your whole back really quiet. So you're not tensing and like putting tension on your SI joint. You're trying to just lift without it being affected. So your hip bones and pelvis bone are heavy to the ground, and your glute is doing all the work. You're gonna hold, and I will count it out. So we'll do it 3 times on each side to get to the minute. Okay, and go. So lifting and holding. Act like consistently trying to quiet your lower back. Drop your hips to the floor. Lower it down and lift it back up. Squeezing your glutes, squeezing your legs straight to use your hamstring, but keep your low back quiet. Lower it down. One more time. Pelvis is heavy. Reaching long through your toe. Relax your low back. And down. Other side. Lift it up. Squeeze that leg straight. And lower it down. Squeeze it straight. Reach it long. Use that glute and hamstring, but try to relax your low back. And down. And last one. Hold. Squeeze it straight. Reach it long. Relax your back. Drop your hip bones into the ground. And lower it down. Awesome. Nice chill one in the middle. And then you can sit back and stretch out your lower back a little bit. Yeah. So doing the legs and the upper back is kind of, they're both trying to get your low back to relax, but from the opposite sides. So we don't want to have to like rely too much on that because it gets cranky. As I have learned. Okay, last one. If you can do these with your back just on the ground, or you can do it with your hips propped up on a little height, but we're going to do alternating leg switches. So, that's not the last one. We have one more after this. Sorry. Legs up straight. So, shoulders are lifted off the ground, and you're just switching your legs. You don't want to let yourself arch because that's going to aggravate your hip flexors. So, keeping your tail tucked, low core engaged, and just quick switches with your legs. Okay, and go. So keeping your upper body as still as possible. And if your neck gets tired, feel free to put your head down because it's a bit awkward. Such a hard block. Halfway there. Regards. Hope everyone's legs are happy after all the splits yesterday and the day before. 10 more seconds. And we're done. Whew. Stretch out your stomach a little bit. Okay, the last one we're going to do is the boat twists. So if you want to put the block between your knees, you can. And if you're like, absolutely not, also cool. So we're going boat, really rooting through your sit bones. Squeeze your knees together, your heels apart. Twist, twist, center, down, and up. It's going to really show you how your two halves are connected. Super exciting. So yeah, the block is optional. It kind of gives you something to squeeze, which is nice, but maybe makes it slightly more challenging. So I'll leave that up to you. Okay, and we're going. I promise this is the last one. Knees together, heels apart, twist. Really rooting through your sit bone, or your tailbone, I guess. In that position. Try to keep your low body as still as possible. 20 more seconds. If you've lost it, knees together, heels apart, root down through your tailbone. And if you've been starting to the same side every time, maybe switch it up. And you're done. Give yourself a little cobra. Stretch it all out. A little wiggle side to side. Sweet. Excuse me. All right, well, you're good and warmed up if you have some things that you want to work on. So we did lots of this kind of like extension in the shoulder, so that's definitely good for forearm stands or handstands. So if you have that kind of goal, go for it. Yeah. And if you one of the other things that we've kind of been doing a little bit of is like press work. So if you have that kind of power in you, go for it. But I will leave it up to you.